Bonjour, Africa. Bonjour. Comment allez-vous ce matin? It's another beautiful Tuesday, and you're tuned into your favorite morning table talk show. And today, we have all the teas for you, including the one that I'm sipping. It's Jasiri o'clock. The ladies and I, well, except Tolu, are here, and we are ready to bring the heat, the gist, the perspective as always. Welcome to the show. We've got a packed show today with stories that will spark your mind, touch your heart, and maybe even make you raise your brow a little. But first...
Yes, indeed. But first, good morning, Africa. Woo! I am greeting once again from the pool table of Jasiri. My name is Judith TV, and I'm holding it down for your ever vibrant and, of course, articulate, impeccable, incomparable Tolu. Today, she's unfortunately can't be here, but I'm here. And hello, ladies. Hi, ladies.
Hi, Julie.
There we go. And it's good to be here once again. And of course, you guys look amazing as usual. Was this a plan?
No,
the
actually,
black and white?
it wasn't.
No,
I think
never planned.
Great minds think alike because we're all black. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like black. Yeah.
I'm wearing navy blue.
It's okay.
I do not do.
Great minds think alike.
It's not
Navy blue. Whatever.
It's black.
Blue.
What are you talking
It is
about?
not black. Anyway, welcome. Today, unfortunately, Tolu is away on doctor's instructions. And trust me, if she didn't need to, she would have sneaked away here for the show. I know her because she's sitting by her couch now, watching with that articulate bougie tongue.
And laughing now.
But it's a good thing that you're adhering to instructions. We want you to rest, want you to be together, okay? And I want to buy you chocolates when you return so that the teeth can hurt some more. Of course, I know she's watching, but I love you so much. I will miss you too much. But we'll see you soon, Mama. Rest a little. Let Coco be nurse today.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, ladies. Okay, so shall we get into the business of the day? It's a Hot Topics Tuesday, so we're bringing you the heat and the heart of the headlines, the spice of trending stories, and the realist conversations from across the continent. Let's unpack them together. First up, ladies, how would you feel if a random person called you or chatted you up to tell you that they have your passport application slip? Listen to me. Egbomi dada. The passport application slip that you confidently filed at the immigration center. Yep, that's right. So this morning, Nigeria gave us another only in this country moment as a young woman, Oluwadamisi, went online to express complete shock after someone texted her on WhatsApp with a picture of her passport application slip. And guess what it was used for? Her personal passport slip containing every bit of her private information was used to wrap AKARA by the roadside, as in bean cake on the streets. Her entire identity literally dipped in hot oil. Now, after texting her with the slip, the person had the nerve to ask for her pictures on top. It's the audacity for me. Because if this is not just a privacy breach, then it's a full-blown national security crisis. Because tell me, how does the sensitive data from the immigration office end up in street food packaging AKARA? I know that there has been, there have been worse things that people have used to. You just see somebody's certificate being used to wrap up. And it's always AKARA and fried yam.
Fried yam and suya.
Yes, it's always...
But you know, we're laughing about this, but it is indeed very serious. You know, we've talked about it, how easy it is to access our private information online for as little as 100 naira. And, you know, all your information will just be in the hands of Yahoo boys and people that use such information for, you know, any nefarious activities they choose to. Yeah. And imagine this is something from the immigration office. It's either maybe it's a discard, but what don't Nigerians understand that even sensitive document, why do they think there's a machine called a shredder? Because if you want to dispose of such, I want to believe that this is probably a discard. Right. Maybe from the one they didn't use at the computer, but they discarded. They know that this is something that contains sensitive information. they should have shredded it before throwing it away. I'm sure somebody just went into the office, packed everything, dumped it to their favorite dumpster or whatever, and of course all those people that pick and pick and pick came and pick and sold it to the person using it to fry akara or maybe wrap corn and all these kinds of things. I don't
think so. Maybe yes, there was a purchase, right? So I'll look at it in a twofold sense of thing. Number one is our anyhowness in Nigeria. How did this document leave the premises of the Nigerian, immigration services, or in this case, I think it should be passport office. I don't know which is it, but this is interior intelligence data. This is really nobody should have access to it except certain individuals. The fact that it's actually in print is what's killing me, right? So it just goes to show our incompetence, our anyhowness from top to bottom. Reminds me of a former president. A Nigeria from top to bottom. Literally, anyhowness when you think about it. We just are lackadaisical about everything that we do. We don't give our thoughts or even intentionality, right? So there's this anyhowness, this lackadaisical attitude that you see in, public offices, the public service, even the private sector, even the informal sector. I mean, artisans will come in. This is your job, but somehow you don't do it well. That's one. And then two, there's the poverty line as well that falls into play here, right? Because we still have not been able to solve that poverty line keeps expanding. We're going to see issues like this where instead of you disposing those sensitive documents properly by shredding them, like you rightfully put, or incinerating them, you sell them. So, and it's also always the cleaners that will sell it, and then you now make money from it. Either the cleaners or some lower ranked staff who has been fighting to get the documents so they can sell down the roadside. And I bet you that the money they made is 500 naira. I bet you.
It's usually, but I don't even think it's as serious. What I'll pick from the anyhowness of what Judith said is the fact that they just dumped this document without thought. Just anyhow. They are not thinking how sensitive this document is. They just dropped it somewhere, and one of those women that, have you been in the passport office? You see people cutting drinks and snacks and all sorts of things, and they can just pick it up the floor.
Will say, okay, let me, madam, all these papers, let me just sell it for me for 500. So it can be a huge roll of paper.
See, it's 500 naira.
Before we dig deeper, let's take some reactions, because there are reactions. There are reactions to this. All right, so Samuel Olayemi says, data breach is not peculiar to Nigeria. Even in the US and Europe, data breach happens. We can simply ask the government agencies to do better without denigrating Nigeria. It's easier said than done, my brother. Smiley Dara says, breach of data privacy, and it can be followed by law. It's alleged that some people sell people's data to the roadside sellers or scammers, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
It gets worse than this. This is from @Ola Mavel Create. It goes, it gets worse than this. There was a national breach some while back. Most people, NIN, can be bought for 200 on the black market. In case you don't understand, it means you can commit an offense you never benefited for as low as 200 naira.
That is so true.
Wild. So this is Call Me Slim B. LOL. Those people, when they sell akara and suya, now for their hand, person they see all these things, and it's not even like they got those papers for free. Now sell them, go still sell them, give them. Now just the country where we find ourselves. That's from and this is Adele Kears.
Little Kindness says nothing is actually valued and protected in Nigeria. The system and its agencies hardly place importance on privacy and safety of citizens. We are growing larger by the day, and the simple things to keep the country running smoothly, we don't have them in place.
I think we've just come to that acceptance that it's just the country where we find ourselves. It's just, we complain or we say what we feel about what's going on. It may not be nice. Most of the time we are complaining about the situations that's going on here in the country. But at the end of it, you see that resignation that says, well, now the country will see ourselves, it is well. So it ends up, so we use that to kind of console ourselves and then move on. It doesn't change anything.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it, because the first reaction that you took, and hopefully they can pull that up, when the person was saying that data breach is not, it says data breach is not peculiar to Nigeria, even the US and Europe, data breaches happens. And might I just add that when those things happen, there are heads on the chopping blocks.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? Like, there are people that are called accountable. It doesn't happen. When Elon Musk became in charge of Doge, people raised alarm that what the hell is going on? He's going into our Secret Service. He has our data. We can't let this happen. There was a time that they were saying delete Facebook because Facebook was getting all of these cookies and knowing what you were doing and your patterns. So there are rights group who actually call these things out. So my own problem here is our lack of spirit of excellence. Before the fact that the US and Europe has it doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean, why can't we, Nigeria has, we always claim the best Nigeria.
No, we don't take it as importantly as
exactly.
it's supposed to be
It's just
taken.
not important to us.
No,
the way
it's not.
Judith is talking about this thing, like, oh yes, it should be important.
Yeah.
That a lot of people, some people's head should roll for this. But here in Nigeria, have you seen the way when you go to some civil service offices, how lax they are? I've been to the passport office. I can easily tell you that you'll be surprised that it's just a cleaner that probably packed sensitive information from the side of someone and went to just sell it.
Establishments are the ones most, well, let me not say most guilty, but yeah, the percentage of it happening in civil service is because there's so many. I worked in civil service for 10 years, and there's so many, you see many paper movements. Many paper movements from one point to another, one point. It's easy to just dump down. Some of these papers can be abandoned for months, even years. So in the end, you find someone and you say, sell it to me for 1K, and you're thinking, let me make a quick buck. And you pack it without even thinking. And you sell it.
Maybe
because
until something like a national problem happens.
You know,
even use somebody's information to commit some kind of landmark
one of the reactions
fraud.
said that it means that you can partake of a crime.
That
you didn't even commit.
That's what I was about to say.
Have you not gotten text messages from straight, like me? I'll just see a WhatsApp and I'll be like, oh, Lolo, I'm like,
ladies, I wish you can pull up that picture again of that of the paper, the sheet of paper with AKARA. Hopefully we can pull it up. What's interesting about this is that her photograph is there, her address is there, NIN, BVN, and everything else is there. I could use that data, open different accounts, collect loans, commit like serious
offenses,
wire fraud. You know what I mean? And then because a picture is there, I don't need anything else.
And they come to her house and pick her up.
And
she says she's not aware of what's going on. And they say,
sorry, it's a picture that is, oh my God. And there's AI. Because you could run that photograph on AI and to give you a clearer one. Listen, my mind is criminal. I'm going to stop. Continue.
You better stop. Don't give that any more ideas. Anyway, we need serious conversation about data privacy in Nigeria. We have been doing our bits on this show, but Mr. President, whoever needs to be regulated or needs to do this regulation, that's why foreigners are scamming people pretending to be Nigerians.
Absolutely.
This has to end. Anyway, I hope they hear us. I hope they hear us.
Inshallah.
We need a breaker right now. We're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when we return, we'll see some other big stories that we'll be sharing with you on this platform. Please stay with us.
welcome back to the show. You're still watching Hot Topics right here on Jasiri. So let's get into our next story. Before the break, Lola was begging Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for help concerning the data breach in the country. Well, we have all equal. We all have equal rights and stakes in this to beg him for help concerning the insecurities around the country. Ladies, our president has spoken. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has broken his silence on the recent wave of violent attacks sweeping through parts of the country, issuing a stern warning to perpetrators and a renewed promise of security to Nigerians. So in this statement that was released yesterday by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, Tinubu condemned the killing of travelers in Plateau State, the suicide bombing in Borno, and the fatal explosion in Kano, emphasizing that the government will not allow Nigeria to be held hostage by fear and terror. According to him, freedom of movement by all citizens is non-negotiable. We will not tolerate any attempt by anyone or group of people to curtail that fundamental freedom through acts of extreme violence and fear. Reacting to the Plateau killings, Tinubu described the acts as heinous and ordered security agencies to apprehend the culprits immediately. In his words, the perpetrators must face the full weight of the law. He urged the Plateau State government to take decisive action to break the cycle of violence. And on the deadly bombing in Borno, which took place at a wedding gathering, which claimed several lives, Tinubu called it, in quotes, a cowardly and despicable attack. He directed emergency agencies to swiftly provide medical aid and support to survivors while assuring citizens that efforts to dismantle terror groups like Boko Haram remain a national priority. In all of this, he extended sympathy to the victims of the explosion at the scrap metal site in Kano, calling for a thorough investigation and better enforcement of safety standards in these industrial areas. And he also concluded his address with a call for calm, for resilience, and assuring Nigerians that his administration is committed to securing every inch of the nation. Okay. So, I didn't want to have to read that to the end because I was just going to say, yeah, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, what they say, cho. You're saying things that are politically correct. You're using words that, you know, keywords. If you put them in, you know that these are keywords that are said in these kinds of... But there's so much more.
Right.
There's so much more than empty words. There's so much more than empty cajoling and promises. Because the moment you fail to check something, there's a ripple effect to that thing. There's Benue here, there's Borno, there's Kano, there's Plateau. Listen, if nothing is done blatantly, rudely, aggressively to curb these attacks, they will only continue. I'm sorry to say, they will only continue. Leave all the flowery words and saying, okay, we condemn these gross, despicable acts, we do this guy. After all is said and done, then what?
I just wonder how some of our politicians sleep at night. How do they continue their lives like nothing shakes them or moves them? You know, somebody would tell me that, you know, until something is close to home, you probably might not really feel the impact of what people are going through. People can read your body language, Mr. President, sir. And sometimes that's, you know, that slow to action, that inaction, everybody can just see it clearly. And of course, those that are perpetrating this evil know that nothing is going to happen. A lot of things have been happening throughout the year. And in recent times, and everybody knows that nobody is going to call anybody to order. So, of course, he gives them the impetus. He gives them, in fact, it's like a protection that, okay, nobody is coming for us. Let's do more. Yeah. Let's destroy some more. But you know these things that we read on the papers as, oh, look at that wedding that happened and the violence that happened there and the lives that was lost. You forgot that those are people... Some people know those people. They are people's families, husbands, wives, fathers, children in one wedding party. As that one is happening, the Borno attack is going on. Loss of lives every time. The Kano thing. People are losing lives on a daily basis. And we are still calmly calling people, telling them, using keywords like, you know, we condemn. We know you condemn these works,
everybody
this evil on paper. But what are they going to do in action? Very soon you will see maybe the commissioner of police of the area will come out and say, oh, we're going to make sure we do Operation Snake in the Monkey Shadow. And that is the end that we hear of it. And people's lives will keep being lost, property will keep being damaged, and we'll keep getting condolence messages read to the people that makes no sense.
I'll say this, and I will say this because of, you guys have put it very, I mean, you ladies have put it very, you know, very succinctly, but I will only add two things. Number one is, the people that are in Plateau, that are in Borno, that are in Kano, and that are in the Middle Belt, Benue specifically, they have been having this issue for decades, right? At one point, Borno was celebrating that they had pushed back the insurgents, the Boko Haram communities that was torn apart were starting to reintegrate. We have reports from Omar Kirawa. They were starting to reintegrate. Life was starting to pick up again. The city center, that's the capital, Maiduguri, there, you can see businesses start to pick up again. We saw life return. So imagine seeing, hope, normalcy come back, and then all of a sudden snatched away. It does something to your psyche.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. The trauma of it. And so at this point, it begs to ask the question about continuum in our government and in our governance. This has been happening for a decade. The Chibok girls happened in 2014. This is 2024. Literally a decade. Borno is the same. They were the same headlines we're seeing of bomb blasts or attacks or violence at weddings was what we saw back in 2013, 2014, 2015. And so it begs to ask the question whether or not our intelligence has improved in the last 10 years. Have you taken into cognizance the intelligence that was gathered at that time, the pattern, what they used, the people that were attacking, because maybe I watch too much television. Maybe I read too much news and I watch too much movies. But that's how it's done. You gather intelligence, you learn their patterns, you know how they strike, how they attack. And so that when this starts to resurface again, you know how to hit it back the second time. That's what I want. I mean, you can put out statements, break your silence, you're president, do it. I got no problems with that. But after everything is done, what are we doing? Are you calling the chief? I don't even want him going to St. Lucia or whatever. I want you to be back in your office, call all the chief heads, sit down and say, I want this. Give me stats every day for the next 30 days. Every single day, have a security briefing with all the chief heads. But give me names. Give heads on chopping blocks, and no more rehabilitation and reconciliation. That thing pisses me off. Somebody is a terrorist.
Forget.
You call it armed bandit, armed headsmen.
Let's be honest. We have been talking about these terrorists and these pockets or these movements of terrorism in the country as far back as I remember when we were on radio, as far back as 2012, 13, we're talking about when President Jonathan was battling Boko Haram and the insecurity. Like everybody was vocal, including our president, and the internet doesn't lie. We have these tweets from Mr. Tinubu then, he wasn't president, but there were crackdowns, there were criticisms on President Jonathan at the time. Now, these are one of those tweets where now President Bola Tinubu said the festering Boko Haram attacks on the northeast and massacre of innocent citizens is concrete proof that Nigeria has no government. This was the 9th, this was November 2014. Tinubu says, why should any part of this country be under occupation? In any civilized country, Jonathan should resign. Jonathan continues on his path of selective auditioning and visioning, pretending not to notice the rape of the judiciary, the sheer number of unemployed youth who turned out for jobs at the NIS, and the tragic deaths is an albatross on the neck of Jonathan's government. Attack on Nigeria's democracy. Nigerians must hold the Jonathan presidency responsible. Tinubu, this was Tinubu when he wasn't president.
2014.
And this was, from March, this is a tweet from the 10th, from October 2014. There's one March 2014, there's one November 2014.
And then I would say,
dear Mr. President, going by this your advice that you said we should hold Jonathan responsible, we should also hold you responsible. Going by the formula that you've tabled for us, we should hold you responsible for the insecurity that's going on in the country. And if it is too much, we can say that you too can, if it is too much for you, you can step aside. You could, at that time, and I tell people, listen, it's easy to criticize from the outside.
I was just going to say that it's so nice to coach. A lot of us are coaches from the sidelines. You should hear men on the when there's a football match going on, and everybody has a better way to do things. Then he was talking as a civilian.
As a civilian.
But now he is at the helm of affairs. And things have gone from bad
you say,
to worse.
You speak, and I love how he put it articulately. The festering Boko Haram attacks on the
shows that
North
Nigeria
East
have no
shows
government.
that Nigeria has no government.
I
So
was
what
going
do
to-
we say if Mr. Ononuga was going to interpret this in the light of
Yes.
today's...
The past is the past.
Oh God, the past shapes the future.
The past
bro.
shapes the future.
I
We should just
mean,
remove. I was going to
Onanuga was saying,
say we should just.
Onanuga
So what would Onanuga say
Well,
now?
he will say the past is the
Borrowing a
past.
leaf from what President Tinubu, then as a civilian.
He will say the past is the past. That's what.
And I would say the past would shape the
We
future.
hear there are
informs
more.
the future.
There are more reactions.
There
to
are
this.
reactions to
Let's
this.
see more reactions. Let's see. You are always condemning. This from Talk to Joseph. Kindly take action. All these rhetorics should stop. Yesterday it was Benue, the other day Plateau, now Borno. You should resign if you are incapable of handling the security issues in Nigeria.
It's not hard.
Yeah. Nigeria shall overcome all the adversaries. BAT will succeed.
Hallelujah.
Say no to politics of insecurity.
That's what we should have said during Jonathan's regime.
Where's the army you promised to recruit? How about our current servicemen's welfare? We all know what you are doing until people that would actually do what they say will be in government one day. Rudy 77. Dear President.
No, read it as you see.
As it is. Okay, this one is from Irunia. He said, Dear Bola, when Jonathan was president, you criticized him for insecurity and told him to step down because he was not fit to rule. Please kindly take your own advice now. Thanks.
This one is from at Abraham Grace. If I were the government who played a role in ECOWAS and OAU, I think you mean the AU, I would invest heavily in the role elections play in insecurity. I insist that the frequency of the elections for 4 years play a major role in insurgency. Religion, ethnic cleansing, and land grabbing play their role too. But there is a possibility that the oppositions invest in insecurity to paint the ruling party bad, similar to the US, where foreign policies and war seriously affect the election. Nigeria needs to refine its democracy. So are you saying, at Abraham, that what happened in 2014 was also the same thing? Just saying.
Your Excellency, thank you for your message. Oh, I'd love to read that. I love when people articulate. Your Excellency, thank you for your message and for acknowledging the deep pain these recent tragedies have caused across our nation. The loss of innocent lives in Borno, Plateau, Kano, and other parts of the country is heartbreaking and unacceptable. However, while we mourn, we also demand justice, because without justice, there can be no true peace. The perpetrators of these barbaric acts must be identified, apprehended, and prosecuted without delay. Justice must not only be done, but seen to be done to restore public confidence and deter future violence. Exactly
the day
what you said
this
on
happens,
table.
that justice is seen to be done, I myself will rejoice, because as long as there's no accountability and nobody is called to order, trust me, it will keep getting worse and worse before it becomes worsest. If there is any English like that, because sometimes the things happening in the nation, it defies proper English.
Wosa. There we go. I mean, that at Abraham Grace was saying that opposition use insecurity as politics. I have to beg to ask the question whether in 2014 it was the same thing with the PDP rule and Goodluck Jonathan's administration. Hey, if we're doing that, we might as well put everything on the table. Let's go on a short break, shall we? We need to go on a quick timeout. When we return, we will get into a story that sheds light on 3 powerful P's, which is power, privilege, and predation. Don't go anywhere. Jasiri returns after the break. Stay with us.
Okay, welcome back to this lady's
It's an inside joke. Don't mind it.
Guys,
All right,
leave me, Joe.
Go, sorry.
Let's go to the next story now. This is a chilling case of power. Why am I the one with this heavy story?
Oh, yeah, don't worry, let me take it.
Yes.
Now, this is a chilling case of power, privilege, and predation. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested Dr. Nko Nwanda. I feel I got that correctly. He's a special advisor to the governor of Benue State on documentation, research, and planning. Now, he was arrested for alleged sextortion, cyberbullying, and blackmail. The arrest followed damning allegations from several female students who said they were lured under the guise of ushering jobs, then pressured into sexual acts. However, what they didn't know was that these private encounters were secretly filmed without their consent. The recordings, according to petitions sent to the EFCC, were weaponized, used to threaten them, control, and also coerce the victims into silence or continued abuse. In swift response, Governor Haisat Aliyah has suspended the special advisor indefinitely, and in a statement posted on Facebook by the chief press secretary to the governor has reaffirmed his zero tolerance for misconduct, stressing that, and I'm going to quote him here, any official of his administration found wanting in matters of criminality or ethical misconduct will face the full weight of the law, end quote. Now, the governor's office insists that no act that undermines public trust will be swept under the carpet. The suspended aide is now expected to fully submit to the legal process.
And in the end, he will be exonerated and he
ladies,
will be...
can I go first?
Yes.
I can go first. I've been gymming. I went to the gym this morning for this thing. See, look, I have a qualm to settle with Governor Aliyah.
Yeah.
The qualms I have, I mean, he might have to come to Lagos and we're going to face it one-on-one. Because doing research on this story, come to find out, allegedly, that's a key word here.
Yes.
This man has done it before. Turns out he was a lecturer in the Benue State University, and he was expelled, disassociated from the school because, wait for it, ladies, wait for it, allegedly, he raped his friend's daughter.
Okay.
You see,
He was disgraced out of that school, but somehow
he found his way to government.
he found his way to government. And so, what happened to due diligence?
Exactly. That's what I'm always asking. How can this?
Yeah.
This is so annoying and infuriating.
Yeah.
That somebody these are things that can be traced. In fact, if you have court cases that you have not even concluded, how can they give you
a position to
in
serve.
government to serve when you have things that are around your neck?
Yeah, yeah.
If this is even an allegation that has not been proven, should it not be completely investigated? Look at it now. He has done it on a wider scale.
On a wider
and do you know what? Done it to, oh God, it's.
All right, let's take guys. First, reactions. This is serious. A governor's aide. They should get the videos and delete them completely. This is from Ifeanyi. Rotimi says, "What I'm after is let the work get done. He deserves to be arrested."
Arrested?
No,
We're joking.
Sylvester says, given the statement that any official found wanting in matters of criminality or ethical misconduct will face the full weight of law, I believe many appointees will be removed from their positions if the governor is honest with
That's quite true.
Jacob says, the suspension is overdue. I commend Governor Aliyah's swift suspension of his aide. It shows strong leadership and a clear commitment to integrity and accountability. This is a commendable step toward clean and responsible governance.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Should we go long overdue? This should be a sack and not
a suspension.
For ones that the Aliyah government should fasten up.
Thank you.
Okay. From the comments, besides the recent happenings around him, I can say he has a poor PR. As we celebrate this, it calls for sober reflection. Self-control and moderation.
Girl,
is key.
no one's talking about self-control and moderation here. You need just sit down because what we're sorry, I mean, shout out to her, but girl, sit down. We're not talking about, because look, self-control is a completely different conversation. Moderation is different. This is sextortion. This man was having sex, forcing them.
Yes.
Let me paint it for you. He forced them to have sex with, he coerced them to have sex with him on promise of getting ushering jobs. Then he recorded those videos. He recorded them in the act. And then he releases them and blackmail them with them so that they can be having more sex with him. That is somebody that is so emboldened. This is not the first time he's doing it.
And what
sex
you allow
offenders
will
like that,
continue,
that's
and
not the
because-
first time.
Yes.
So you can imagine the trail of destruction this man has left in the past.
Yes.
And the fact that he worked in academia is
well, every time they say, oh, somebody should come to a panel for screening, what are they really screening?
Yeah,
are they looking at evidence of just their documentation? I mean, are they just looking at, oh, did you graduate from this school?
You are
What is the essence of your character? Are you not supposed to be questioned? When you fill a form for immigration, they will say, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Have you had anything with terrorism? Have you done this? Have you done that? So what are they really asking them? When you want to get a job, they ask for guarantors. They ask that, they call your former office and ask, why did you go leave that office? They do. For these people in government, because somebody on the top, he's friends with them. They keep taking
his last name looks very
predators off wherever they are supposed to be chained. And
it's a full investigation when you are being considered for a position to serve.
Your whole life is out.
Federal level, local government. It's a
Why do you think in America there are so many of the atrocities? Did you see the video of President Trump circulating many years ago? Dancing at a party. You know, hugging some babes. How did he find his way out? It's because when you are in leadership, you are totally bare. They should be able to look through you and see through you.
Thank you. How this man made his way to governance
is worrisome. If he has been accused of such a thing before, just look at him.
I don't know how many women this man thinks that he can. And maybe he has, I don't know if he's married. I really don't know whether it is something that
mental
he feels.
evaluation.
Exactly.
You'll be surprised that this man is suffering from some kind of mental psychosis.
There is no justification.
Thank you.
Let's put it out there. There is no justification. It's an act of cowardice.
Yes.
It's an act
abuse of power,
of insecurity. And there is something, he's battling so many things because you don't, has he failed at toasting girls and they refuse him?
No, this is a power thing.
No, they do.
And that you feel that for you to exert your power and exert your maleness, you have to coerce them into having sex with them and publishing their videos. So they should do what they should come and beg you, I'm so sorry, sir, please, sir. Anything you say,
you want, I will do.
That is the subjugation of women, its power and its privilege, right? And that's the thing, that's the reason why we always say that equity matters, you know, and equality matters, right? So power in sense of that he has a position, he knows that those women need those jobs, and he has a position to give them those jobs, and they're not going to go anywhere. So power comes in. Privilege in the sense that for him to be able to get that job from academia, he knows people. He knows people high ranking in society. I mean, his last name, like I said, looks very familiar, but we're not going to get into that. That's two. And lastly, subjugation of women. Because if we don't have equity, if there's no equality, more women are going to fall on this trap. You know what I mean? Because there are people out there, men who are ready to assert their power on those women. And that's what, three things: power, privilege, and subjugation.
And they would always be, I think that they would always be protected. Because if you look at their circle, many of them are perpetrators themselves. And that is why you see this is like a continuum. Because if you have the same MO on me, you have the same modus operandi. I know of it. We've been in all these similar situations. That means I need to protect you. That is what gives some of these men audacity to come. Who wants to judge them?
Why did I say
Maybe the people that are sitting on the judges' table are part of this their circle. So who is going to sit to adjudicate over their matter?
Cast the first. Why did I say that my qualms is with Governor Leah in the beginning? That's why I said it. You know what I mean? Because by association, this is the second time in the news that he has done something that is like very, you're a leader of a church.
You'll be shocked that what they will be asking him is that you, Seth, how did you do it to get caught?
Governor Leah.
Because you know those tell, Catherine, I hate that. I just saw like a movie scene. So, you know these things can become something. But you should have been more careful. So what do we do now?
That's why I
call this person for me.
When she said self-control and moderation. We can't be using language or adjectives like that when it comes to such situation. This is sextortion, for goodness sake.
This is from a person of that caliber.
This is illegal.
So low.
If you were abroad in the US, you were going to be jailed for life.
Straight up. But I'm thinking here, what do we expect of our judiciary, Lolo? here in a place where even if the evidence is stacked against him, you can come with a mountain of evidence. You will just see that one day.
Rats did not eat your papers as they were bringing it to prosecution. Rats met them on the way.
For me, I'm not expecting. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm not expecting. You know, like a eureka moment, or I'm not.
You know, some of these things are heavily publicized now. But by the time we say take him to court, you will just find out that the story becomes non-existent.
And
nobody is following up
or like
and he will just quietly go away.
You know those kind of ridiculous sentences.
Right.
You're sentenced to court to prison for 2 weeks with a fine of something to pay. When it's something he can do.
And he's back on the streets to continue.
And that's why victims don't come out. Right, because that's why victims don't say anything. Because justice is never served in the way it ought to be served. You know what I mean? And that's why they never come out.
And every time you come out, you are the object of people's criticism.
All the victims who have ever come out to call out their abuser, what happened to them?
Yeah.
I could name names.
You'll be surprised now that a wife will come out from the
and say my husband
is such a
is
dedicated father. He is a lover of God.
Oh my Lord!
I wish Amadioha was. You just strike some people. Once they say that God, it will be small God, and Amadioha, like as of old, will strike them.
That's why sometimes let's go on a break, guys. This is Jasiri. You're watching us here on News Centers Live on all our social media platforms. We'll take a short break, a final break on the show. When we return, we'll be wrapping up the show on this morning's stream.
They fear Amadioha.
And you're welcome back to Jasiri for our final segment here on the show this morning. I know, my face is normally on here. It's not here. It's always on extra. But I got to cover for the beautiful Tolu. Now it's on to our next story. And this one is one that has, ruffled a few feathers, both in the diaspora and right here in Nigeria. Yes, we are talking entitlement, expectations, and the unspoken politics of financial support, a.k.a. black tax. My favorite conversation. I'm the eldest. Can you tell? Well, a Facebook user, Osai Ovie Success, posted this. And I'm going to quote, "You are in abroad and you are sending 20,000 K, that's about $12 to your friend who is getting married or doing burial in Nigeria. That is disappointing." In this post, end quote there. Then he goes, in this post, again, that's the post there. Now, in this post that's been circulating, he's clearly slamming diaspora folks for sending what he called embarrassingly small amounts of money to friends and family celebrating weddings or mourning loved ones back home. Now, the internet had thoughts about this, and while some Nigerians agreed, some others didn't. So let's see what they have to say. Let's roll the clip, guys. Let's do it. The very first one here, this is Mitchell Ujo Woke. Hopefully I got that correctly. I'm just going to stop. He says, "Let's stop the entitlement mentality. A gift is a gift irrespective of the continent it's coming from. For your friend abroad to still remember you, send you $1 self, he tried. During my marriage, a friend and a brother sent me 20K from abroad and I was dancing because I don't expect anything from anyone. So once I get a letter from you, I feel so privileged, honored, and grateful. Make we come out our eyes from people money, and to that I say, Amen." Next one is Afiz Olayinka Salau. He said, "Do you know how many 20K he sent? Sometimes you have like 50 people on your neck. Multiply 20K by 50. That's 1 million. If he eventually did 25 out of 50 in a month, that's 500,000 naira. Here, Hafiz. Here. Good luck, Ona Oha." Says, "Nahim send to marry." Good question, my brother. I be him they marry for him. We expect too much from people in this part of the world. Like say now our right. Do your occasion according to your budget. And to that I say, here. This is Emmanuel Osazua. He goes, "Do you know the struggles people face over there in Africa? You can survive without a job thanks to family and friends. But overseas, you can't afford a single day without working, even between jobs to make ends meet."
That is spot on, Emmanuel Osazua.
I was going to ask.
That is spot on.
Enelgwe, wisdom, wise man, says, "If you are in abroad, I can't come to you for any help below 100K. If you can't handle it, I will sort myself out here. At least I have standard. LOL, I'm not a poor beggar." You have not started Enelgwe. You have not. You call yourself wise man. Joker. The next one, please.
It's done. It's done.
It's done.
No. I find this so ridiculous.
Because I was going to ask you, Lolo, because you are the most recently traveled here. You just came back from the UK.
Oh,
and I remember her saying,
I'm just fighting with
I remember her saying that, I mean, you see everybody's going about their business and you begin to ask yourself, Miss, if I need to go back home and work.
Do you know a lot of people, I always tell people, because I want to assume that some of these people that send these funny tweets have never traveled. Let me tell you, the privilege we have in our home country, you don't have it abroad.
Yeah.
You are
to meet
you are just like
say,
one not going to work from being homeless. Yeah. Here you can carry somebody to go and beg your landlord and say, Baba landlord, please, I'm begging in Jesus' name. My wife just born, something happened. Abroad, there is nobody you are going to beg. You will see all your things outside. And Nigerians just think, they do not see how hard it is for people abroad. People see them like Messiah, Allah, they see them as all the deities that they can provide all their needs according to their riches in glory through Christ Jesus. Yes. And when they manage to even do some feel it is so little. Yes. Do you know what all the things that in Nigeria, they are still begging us to pay tax. Some people still don't pay. Yeah. Even with all the moves government is making. Yeah. Let me tell you they can't escape anything. No. Tax. They can't escape water bill, light bill, gas bill, groceries. And let me shock you. As inflation is happening in Nigeria, it's happening as well.
You are the one that recognized Primark. Thank you.
I went to Primark.
Everything has increased.
That store is one of the stores you will say is the cheapest.
Most affordable.
Do you know that? I looked around and they said, in Primark now, you can't see anything lower than £25. I'm like, when we used to buy drawers and and socks for children.
Let my people go.
My sister would say, no. She used to call me Khashoggi. I just say, green, Khashoggi. I'll just be packing back. When we finish shopping like this, it will be a taxi that I brought my colleague soap. And one soap was $7.
I said, you don't buy chocolate. I'm still
So a lot of Africans are so entitled. Yes. The way they even talk about it is so disheartening and dispassionate. Yeah. As if the people abroad, do they think that money is growing on trees? Many of them have not even faced extreme cold. I won't lie to you. There was a time I was in the US and it was Christmas time that year. Catherine, the cold was stinging. Have you ever seen when it feels like some invisible person has claws and is pointing and pinching at your face with cold hands?
You're not sure whether you want to sneeze or
your face is on fire and you have to go about your job. Look at some lazy people in this Nigeria. They will still see one person and say, please, auntie, I bet urgent 2K, you still send.
And you will still say.
Look, I'll only just say this because I know that we're pressed for time. And what I would say is that the poverty that is in Nigeria has forced an entitlement.
Yes. I was waiting for that word,
entitlement that I've never seen before. And that entitlement comes with bitterness. At Sugar Belly, she's on X, that's Twitter. She succinctly puts this in perspective that your greatest enemy is a poverty-stricken domestic staff. And I hate to be the person to sound elitist, but every single tragedy that has happened look at history, look at the stories. It is always the domestic staff that have killed either the madam, the oga, or the family. And at the end of the day, it could just be 400K. Not saying it's not good money, because if you give it right now, I will go on 2 knees and kiss your feet. What I'm saying is 400K over a life.
A life.
Because that money is going to be finished by the end of the week.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I say all of this to say that at the crux of this is that mentality, that entitlement that you have.
Reaping where you haven't sown.
I mean, you just reeled out all the things that is happening. Just going back and seeing how times have changed. They don't care.
No, they don't. They just want to collect
and move. And every country, let me even shock them. Every country comes with its peculiarities.
Of course.
If you're in Europe,
so it's different.
My friend was showing me her paycheck and then showing me how much she paid in taxes. I said, thank God.
You see, so they're little things.
Thank God.
Guys, it's a conversation that we'll have on a broader scale. Right now, we've run out of time.
Yeah, and that's our show for today. But as we reflect on the troubling headlines, let's remember that safety isn't a privilege, it's a right. In speaking up, staying informed, and holding our leaders accountable, we each play a part in shaping a safer, stronger Nigeria. We've got a special show for you tomorrow. Trust me when I say don't miss tomorrow's show. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you, ladies, for
We
having
will
me.
see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same place. So remember to stay bold, stay kind, and stay Jasiri.
Yeah.
Juliet,
Stay Jasiri.
let's see here tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
I
be here
command
tomorrow.
you.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I command you, and you got me to this chair.
I will be here. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.